Hi, I'm Morgan Rogers.
And I'm Abby Janes, and this is our presentation over all the things that we learned from the interviews from the managers that we interviewed.
So we learned 5 things from these managers, and it's diversity, culture, personality traits, authority, and incentives. So diversity in the workplace, and what I learned from one of my interviews is that when I interviewed Kyle, he talked about there being a language barrier as one of his diversities, and he managed that by putting up signs in both Spanish and English, that way that it fit everyone's needs.
And then I learned most of the same things, but I also learned that sometimes you have to have outside sources come in because it's not always easy for all the employees to just listen to the same manager all the time. So here we have a clip from my interview with Leslie DeRossi. She's the president of her sorority, and she kind of explains some of these struggles that she's had.
As a Greek community as a whole, we're not diverse people, and that's all across the board, and that's definitely something that everyone struggles with. I know this past semester we had OSU's Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Kirksey, come and talk to the chapter. His daughter is a Xavier here though, so we set it up with him. He gave a wonderful talk about diversity and how to deal with that in other people. And it's definitely something difficult to try to change the way that Greek life is looked at because it's a not very diverse group of people.
Next, we talked about culture. We learned that it varies from every manager, and in every interview that I had, it was not even the same answer. In one interview, she mentioned that she always had been someone to follow the rules, and so she brought that to her area and said that they were always going to do things the right way and be ethical and not and always follow the rules in that manner.
And when I interviewed, I found out that when working for a company and you're trying to set their culture for your employees, so you're managing someone else's set culture. And for example, Duncan Aviles is a manager at Pro ValueNet, and he talks about how they're family oriented and that that's their culture, and that when they come to work every day, they discuss things that happen at home and stuff because they just want everyone to feel like they're connected and that they're needed and that they're a part of the same group.
With being a family-oriented business, we always make them feel like they're part of the family, and we've never really had anybody ever had any conflicts or anything like that between personalities or anything. So it's just making them feel like they're part of the team, making them feel like they're wanted is the biggest thing.
Next, we talked about personality types. We learned that all different types of people must come together to make the company work and be successful. No two personalities are the same, and the biggest thing that I learned was that managers need to be able to see the different personalities in their employees so that they know how to successfully put them all together in groups and areas of the company so that they can be successful and get things done. Here I have Greg Janes, and he works in human resources, so that was a great time to talk to him about different personalities coming together and conflicts that he's had. And so here he's going to tell you about that.
Well, you don't manage everybody the same, you manage people differently. So you don't put others down, you don't put your employees down to other employees, and manage to their strengths and their personality. Some people are better at something, some people are better at it, some are analytical, some are better at communications, talking in front of people. So you just have to, you get projects and different opportunities that you can give to your employees, you can help them with, and you try to use their personalities and their strong points to your advantage.
So another one of our topics is authority and how you want your employees to recognize, or what authority you want your employees to recognize with you. And one of the problems about this, though, is that when you're managing people and you're familiar with that person, like a friend or a friend of a friend, that you really have to set that groundstone for them. So it's all about, rules. When you're at work, you have to follow a certain line, that you have to be able to separate the two and discipline them the same as you would any other.
Authority is that they have to understand that what I say go. What my decisions are based on the best interest of the company and the best interest of themselves, and without their support, and they have to understand that my leadership goal, it comes from their being supported by them.
Right.
The next thing we learned about were incentives, and throughout all my interviews, many of them had different types of incentive plans. From the last one I talked to, they were more of a rewards base. It wasn't necessarily something tangible, and so it was something like if during the week maybe the boss lets them or makes them have to stay late to help work on a project, finish it out for the day, then that Friday he will say, you can leave early, and so that would be a nice incentive for them because they know they have that trust that if they work hard during the week, then maybe that last day they get to leave early and go spend time with their family and maybe head out for the weekend. Some of them, though, do deal with money, and a lot of them do, actually. Here I talked to Kylan, and she talked about more of a just a pay type of incentive that she likes to implement within her work time.
Well, our base pay for employees is $10 an hour, or we have an incentive where if you pick up more orders in an hour, we'll give you $3.50 per order. So whichever one's higher. So a driver could deliver 4 orders in an hour if they wanted extra money, and they'd get $14 an hour instead of 10. That way the drivers don't feel pressured to fulfill the amount of orders, but if they would like the extra money, then they have the opportunity to do that.
This was a nice side to the incentives just because it kind of lets them choose what they want to do. So if they really do feel like they need it, then they can go for it. If not, she's not pressuring them to get more things done than they really feel like they can.
So overall, with the 5 topics that we thought that we learned the most from, Greg Webb kind of capitalized on one thing that we both agreed was probably the most fundamental thing about, implementing your culture and the overall thing to just set that culture for your employees. And he talks about it in the interview.
We've got a pretty good training program that we emphasize on all aspects of customer service and operation in the store, and their different clerk duties that they're responsible for each day. So through the training and through lead by example is probably one of the best techniques out there, dealing with a good manager to make sure their manager is well trained to be able to teach his employees, as well as the upper management, including myself and everyone, to carry that same attitude of customer service out there to teach our employees.
I think that the lead by example method really encapsulates all the different 5 topics that we mentioned. First being diversity. If you are open to diversity and see that everybody has all these different traits, then you really, maybe your employees will really follow that suit, and they will learn to be open about other things. The next being the culture. That is just that is the lead by example, just because you bring in what you think that your area should have, and so that's why you're leading there. Different, with the personality traits, you have to have a good personality to start with, and then from then on, everybody else will hopefully follow through and have a good attitude at work. If you're happy about it, they'll be happy about it. They'll be motivated to get things done. The authority, as long as, it's always good to be the boss, and that's what a lot of my interviews said, that they wanted to be the boss, but they also want them to know that there's a friendship there, and that it's not just always, this is what I say, so you have to do it. It can be an open communication, but if it comes to it, then you really need to do what they say, because they know best. They are the manager. They work their way up to that position. And the last being is the incentives, and you have to just be fair with those. You can't just give one person this incentive whenever you don't offer to everyone. And so I think that as long as you show that these incentives do work and to make the company better, that will make people want to work for it and get those extra bonuses and be happy within their job.
Right, and a big part of the leading by example is that's how you train your employees. So that's the fundamental, I think, foundation of training your employees is that, first of all, is that they have to recognize, what type of authority, that you're going to establish with them. And, you want that friendship. You want to be able to say, hey, like a warm environment, but you also want them to know that, okay, hey, no, that's enough. This is what you're going to do. Like, this is a deadline and you've got to get it done. And I think these interviews were very valuable for us. And I think they were also valuable for the managers that we interviewed, because sometimes just talking about it and discussing, their company's culture and how they deal with things kind of made them realize, oh, well, maybe I should deal with this differently, or, maybe I haven't capitalized like I should have on certain situations, or how they are managing their diversity, or maybe they realize they're doing a good job at it.